All aboard the procrastination train. Passenger 1. It's me. Hey guys. Hey, so I just looked and it's been 2 weeks, 15 days, 2 weeks and a day since I released my last podcast episode. But here's the thing. I have not been doing nothing. I have not been sitting on my hands. I've got a lot of things that have actually been going on. And if you only listen to the podcast, A, thank you. B, you're only getting part of the information that I share all the time. Now, you know the drill. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. There's no need to fool you into going to a URL, putting in your email, and trying to lead you to believe that I will never email you after I send you some magical free gift that's going to give you the answer to all the things in life that you want. That's not what I'm going to do. But if you do put in your email, I've got an autoresponder series of what I think is very evergreen and timely information. Plus, for the last, 6 months or so, maybe not quite that long, I have been sending out weekly emails to people who are at the end of that autoresponder series, and some people who are not, who haven't reached the complete end, but some things that I am working through, some very timely information. I'm going to throw out some links to you right now, but I do want to tell you that I have not been sitting on my hands. I've not been doing nothing, and I'm going to share just a little bit about that here in just a second. One of those things is my 2017 community survey. So if you're like my new friend Shanda, who said she discovered the Empowered podcast a long time ago, you've probably heard me mention the survey before, but it's something that I do every year. Man, I gotta have my coffee in the morning, so I'm gonna go fairly unedited on this one if I can get it to where it doesn't sound too bad. So these surveys, I do them every year, and here's what these surveys are not. If you want to check them out, if you want to go to ElloryWells.com/survey, just /survey, it will take you right there. It'll take you a couple minutes, or it might take you 20 minutes, depending on the detail of your answers and how you answer things. I've got really cool software that will change the questions that you're asked based on what you just said. So it's kind of cool. It took me a long time. So one of the things that I've been doing in these last 2 weeks and 1 day, 15 days, I moved that software from Google Forms over to the software I'm using now. And if you want to know what that is, if you want to know why I did it, just shoot me an email and I will gladly tell you. So I've been doing that. If you want to see the survey, go to ElloryWells.com/survey. This survey is not one of those corporate things. It's not an NPS survey. If you're in the corporate world, you might know what that is. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you love us or do you hate us? And jobs are lost and people are fired or given raises because of those surveys. I did those for 4.5 years at Dell, and it was kind of a good idea, but sometimes the execution was pretty poor. But this survey, and I don't want to talk about it too long because somebody's going to be like, Ellery, you talked about surveys for 5 minutes. I use that information to know where I need to be placing content, what social networks, where you guys are active, whether you listen to the blog and the podcast and not the blog, vice versa, and what that is. And I want to know exactly who you are as a listener so I can give you all of the right or the best information I possibly can. And whenever you hit send or submit at the very end, you will send, if you put your email address on the first page, you will email me, your results. You'll email them anyway. You can still do it anonymously. But I'll follow up with you if you have requested information. I read all of them on my own. So the survey has been one thing that I have been working on in the last 15 days. Another thing that I've been working on is email marketing and automation, and causing problems for myself and fixing problems for myself. And that's been a big headache. So I am actually in 2 minutes from this very moment that I'm recording this, I'm going to start sending out people invites to, or people introductions to people to come to my event that I'm holding in Round Rock. If you've really been listening a long time, raise your hand if you remember me talking about the very first Mastermind weekend in May of 2014. Well, I'm raising my hand. You might as well be, or you might be too. Good gosh, if you're listening back then, I apologize. Oh, random thought. I'm recording into the brand new Audacity 213. I've been on 212, version 212 for a long time. This is 213. Do I sound any different? I've still got to compress it and optimize it and blah, blah, blah. But let me know if I even sound different. I'm just kind of curious. So anyway, I am doing another Mastermind weekend in June of 2017 here, June 2 through 4, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I would love for you to come. So here are some quick details. A few weeks ago, I hopped on a call with one of my longest running mastermind groups. If you heard the bit, actually, I don't know if I put it on the podcast. If you heard the bit, I think you go to ElloryWells.com/results. You can see the video. I've blotted out some of their faces to keep them private. But in 2 weeks, those guys made almost $25,000 between 3 of them. And they are doing just some really amazing things. And that /results will have the video that I recorded from our mastermind call. Well, last week I asked them, what would you guys like to see next? I want to add a new product or a new service to my brand, like my coaching business here. And one of them said, it was Matt said, I think a live event would be a really cool thing for you to do. And I went back and I listened to, or I mentioned the mastermind weekend that I held in 2014. And they're like, yeah, that would be really cool. Here's how you could do it. And then Matt and I, let me pull up my notebook here. Matt and I sat on the phone on the Zoom call, and he talked about the structure because he's been to a lot of conferences, some done well, some not done so well. And we talked about how we could set up designated breaks so people don't miss hot seats, blah, 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 blah. So we went into a lot of detail. And if you go to, I don't know if do you get a pen out whenever you read these or whenever you listen to podcasts in general or mine? I feel like you need a pen. If you go to ElloryWells.com/MM weekend, MMWEEKEND, as you know, no spaces or underscores or anything like that. You will see the page where you can get more information and register. I am totally excited. The first time we went camping, I wanted to combine mastermind groups and camping. This time, no camping. So we're going to have it here. Some events might be in my house, but the idea, guys, is to combine 3 really powerful aspects of the mastermind group and a aspect of some great conferences. So let me back it up half a step. So when you go to a conference and there's like 200, 300, 400, 500 people, 1,000 people, yeah, you might get some really great information. But usually when you're one of a crowd, you have to digest that information and figure out how you can possibly apply what you learn from these experts to your business. And it's nothing wrong with that. I love that. I go to conferences like that all the time, but it's I don't want to say passive, but it's like reading a book or listening to an audiobook or heck, listening to a podcast like this. And then you got your notes, you taking notes, and then you go back home and you're still jazzed for a few weeks, but you're trying to figure out how you can apply what so-and-so said directly to your business so that you can bring in new customers and new revenue and those kinds of things. And then the energy kind of fades and you wonder if you applied it directly and all that stuff, and the conference high leaves you. Well, here's what we're doing different with Mastermind Weekend. We're going to max out at like 15 people. Not only is the venue small, but my house is only so big. We can fit people in our living room. We can get some extra chairs around our kitchen table. We might have, dinner or lunch or something here. with my wife and I might bring you into our home. So the venue is much smaller. So it's going to be about the same length as a traditional conference, but the venue, the number of people is smaller. And instead of you learning and trying to figure out how to adapt what you just learned to your business, we're going to do my mastermind program. So everybody gets a hot seat. It's small groups. You talk about your wins, your losses, what you need help with, what you're working on, what is working, what's not working, and you are the focus for an amount of time. And that's going to be the game changer for Mastermind Weekend. It's no, how will I ever do this? It's the support and accountability and encouragement in that moment that you need so that you can go and directly apply that. And sure, we're going to have fun times. Dinner's going to be included Saturday, lunch Saturday, breakfast on Sunday. We're going to go out. We're going to have, your drinks are not included because I've seen some of you guys drink and, I'll pay for your water and your tea, but, you're more than welcome to have those kinds of things, but it's going to have plenty of networking and social time, but it's here to be a very intense 2.5 days. Friday, June 2nd, Saturday, June 3rd. And Mastermind Weekend, mmweekend.com. ElloryWells.com/mmweekend. I did tell you the URL. So anyway, I've kind of talked a little bit longer about some of the things that I've been working on more than I had expected. So I'm not going to do the content of, get this, here's the next episode. Here's what we're going to talk about next. Your part-time mindset is keeping you from full-time income. You're going to want to listen to that. Okay, wrapping up, I will tell you what I have learned from just a few surveys and why I have made a mistake and why I do apologize. And I was the party of one on this this train of procrastination, even though it wasn't really much procrastination happening. So one thing that I have learned in seeing these surveys coming back from people who have taken the survey, who are podcast listeners, and if you have a podcast, this is what you need to know. What do you think they asked for or what do you think they said whenever I asked, how can I make the podcast better? What do you think? Well, if you were thinking audio quality, no. If you were thinking more guests, you would possibly be right. But you know what the number one response across probably a couple years? Oh, maybe I don't know about that because I was fairly consistent last year. So the number one thing that my listeners have asked for, people like you who are listening in their car right now, earbuds, headphones, whatever, is consistency. And I've talked about consistency for, my gosh, forever. And I still drop the ball, so that's why I apologize. But I want you to know that if you are not consistent in what you are doing, your customers, your listeners, your readers, your clients, they are asking for the same thing. And I'm not telling you that because I am from this place of like, oh, look at me, suckers, I'm doing it right, and I've got 12 episodes scheduled for the next 3 months. Nope, not saying that, because obviously that's not true. But I just want you to think that that's kind of interesting, that it's not necessarily more material, that material is going to be across everybody and everybody's going to be different, but it's really just wanting to be able to tune in and get new information or a new connection or get updates from you on a regular and consistent basis. They don't say consistent and frequent. I would throw frequent on there because once a year is consistent. The whatever that not leap year. Yeah, well, when we have that thing every 4 years, what is that called? The moon and whatever. That's consistent. It's not frequent. You know what I'm saying? So in the next, we're going to wrap this up here, try to bring it in right under 15 minutes. The next episode, the next show that will roll right into your ear holes is why your part-time mindset is keeping you from full-time income. I think you're going to like that one. Hey, before we totally sign off, can I have you do an experiment for me? If you've got your phone in your hand or you've got your email or whatever, go up to that little magnifying glass icon and search for Ellory Wells. I'm typing it in right now. And I want to see how many emails, or I want you to see how many emails with my name on it you might not have seen. And hopefully it will pull results from like your archive folder, from your spam folder, promotions, all that kind of stuff. I want you to see if there's any emails that are highlighted in bold that you might not have seen from me, because I want you to get those emails. You've signed up to get those emails, and if you're not getting them, that's kind of a problem. Would you do that favor for me? And when you find one, would you open it and click on it or move it to your inbox? You got to tell sometimes Gmail and Yahoo and all those kinds of things that this is important. So if you find it, there we go. Up in that top right-hand corner next to trash and close it or whatever, you can move to inbox. Would you do that for me? Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ellory Wells, from a cloudy day in Round Rock with a high of 70 and a chance of rain. I'm your host, Ellory Wells. You have an awesome day.